Cameras these days are becoming cheaper, faster, and more powerful by the day. But one of the most unfortunate trends I've seen right now with all entry-level videographers who are either doing commercial work for their clients, vlogs, or whatever, is taking everything in 60 FPS or high frame rates. And I'm gonna tell you the 3 reasons right now why you shouldn't be slowing down all your footage and filming everything in 60 FPS. So before I begin this video, I want to preface it by saying that these differences aren't exactly drastic, but they are noticeable to both people who are viewing your video and in post-production with editors and producers. And the first and most obvious one I can think of is storage requirements. 30 to 60 FPS footage is a massive jump in storage requirements and requires you to have more memory cards, faster memory cards, and typically on most cameras will usually downgrade the quality. If you're shooting on most prosumer or consumer DSLRs, for instance, you typically have to stop down to a lower resolution or lower bit depth in order to get 60 FPS footage. This is a really big deal, for instance, if your deliverable is 4K and you need to upscale 1080, you'll just notice that much less quality when you're delivering the final product. And while some cameras are finally catching up and offering 4K 10-bit internal, you're still gonna see that only available on a select few amount of bodies. Okay, let's say that storage is absolutely no concern. You just have a ton of memory cards or you have a DIT following you around the whole time. Well, then you run into the second issue, the optical properties when you need to deliver your final project. Because most people are not delivering their video files in final 60 FPS quality, you're probably gonna have to conform it down to 24 FPS or 30 FPS. Because of this, when you go to deliver your video file, the encoding process will actually need to take out random frames in order to conform it down into a lower FPS video. This means that your footage will come out super jerky because it doesn't have that natural motion blur. Look at this 24 FPS versus 60 FPS example. Both of these are shot at a 180-degree shutter, but the 24 FPS footage has fluid motion and the motion blur that you'd be expecting to see in a video. The 60 FPS example, because the encoder had to splice out a bunch of frames, has jerky motion and doesn't have that motion blur that you'd come to expect. So you've made it to tier 3. You have unlimited storage, your client doesn't care if the footage comes out looking janky, but the final reason that you as a shooter will really notice a difference on is you're losing all that usable light. If you're in a low light shooting situation, as you increase the frame rate to higher tiers, you're gonna need to up that shutter speed to keep the 180-degree shutter rule. So like I said before, what kind of brought on this video is that now that a lot of people are getting into film and videography, and we're at this crossroad where cameras can do all of these amazing things in super cheap bodies, we're just seeing this huge trend of everybody's just slowing down their footage and trying to make it, you know, super cinematic. But realistically, if you're going to start delivering those projects and you have mixed frame rates, you're really gonna up your production value. Like I said before, to recap, you're gonna need way more storage, which costs more money, which costs you more time storing all of that. It's going to cost you the fluid motion that you would normally get from having those lower frame rates and shooting it just because of the optical properties and shutter angle that you're shooting at. And it's also going to cost you usable light when you're on set. As always, you have a situation that you're going to be shooting in your specific scenario. And we want to know what you think. Do you shoot all your projects in 60 FPS all the time? Or am I just blowing this out of proportion? Go ahead and comment below on what you think. And as always, follow us on all of our social media platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe this video to see our future works. But until then, we'll see you guys later.